Imagine waking up with your foot chained in a filthy bathroom with no idea how you got there. And when you look to the side, you realize there's another guy in the exact same situation. And worse, there's a dead body in the middle of the room. Together, you find out you'll have to escape a deadly game created by a psychopath. That's exactly what happens in Saw with Gordon and Adam. But I'm going to show you all the mistakes these two made, and how Jigsaw's victims could have actually escaped the traps. Starting with the very first detail in the movie, Adam wakes up inside a bathtub in total darkness, and in a panic he pulls the plug. Without realizing, he just sent the key to his freedom straight down the drain. Right after, he hears a voice saying screaming won't help, and when the lights come on, he sees a body in the middle of the room with a gun and a tape recorder. That would have been the perfect time for a good old panic attack. Adam realizes he's chained up and tries to break free while he hears the other guy, Lawrence Gordon, say he also woke up there. Adam is suspicious of the story, and rightfully so. A disgusting bathroom like that with a dead guy in the middle is not exactly the kind of place where trustworthy people hang out. Gordon notices a brand new clock and deduces the kidnapper wants them to keep track of time. Adam checks his pocket and finds a cassette tape labeled Play Me. Gordon does the same and finds an envelope with another tape, a key, and a bullet. They try to use the key on their chains, but it doesn't work. So Adam uses his shirt and the bathtub plug to reach the tape recorder and play his tape. The voice on his tape calls him a voyeur and says he's going to watch his own death. Gordon's tape says he has until 6 p.m. to kill Adam, or else his family will die. Let's pause the story here and analyze the facts. Let's start with the body in the middle of the bathroom. If they had examined the situation more carefully, they would have noticed something off. Why would a man be lying there unchained with a loaded gun? What would make him kill himself right there? And there's another thing, if they'd examined the scene properly, they would have noticed the body was placed as if the guy had been standing, shot himself in the head, and then collapsed, landing with the gun and tape recorder still in hand. But that's almost impossible in a real suicide. In most cases, people don't keep holding objects after death, and even less likely with a self-inflicted gunshot. Another point, even if the death had been real, the gunshot would have splattered blood much farther. And yes, that did happen, but the blood spatter is on the same side where the guy supposedly held the gun. In reality, it should have been on the opposite side. You might say I watched too much CSI and that no one could figure that out. But Lawrence is a successful doctor, so he should have noticed at least one of these details. Back to the tapes. It's clear the kidnapper knew them very well and understood their weaknesses. Ideally, they should have immediately started talking about any enemies they might have in common. That alone could have led them to the psychopath's identity. Another important detail, Gordon has a bullet and there's a gun near the body. So instead of waiting around, he could have tried to grab the gun and use the bullet to shoot the chain lock. If he managed to free himself, he wouldn't have to rely on Adam, who clearly has reasons not to help with anything Gordon wants to do. But let's move on. Adam finds 2 saws inside the toilet tank. So what does he do? Keeps one and throws the other to Gordon, who quickly realizes it's not meant to cut through the chains, but rather...
He wants us to cut through our feet.
And right there, we already see Adam's first dumb move, handing the only weapon he had to the guy who was just told to kill him, and who now has a bullet. Adam breaks his saw in frustration and throws it, cracking a mirror, which to be fair, actually helps a little. Here, we already see a bunch of solutions that they just ignored. They could have tried cutting the arch of the padlock instead of the chain, used the toilet lid as a tool, or even tried to cut the rusty pipe holding the chain. But hey, the movie needs more runtime, so the easy options get tossed out. Gordon starts remembering other cases where people were kidnapped in similar ways, and now we'll take a look at those too. Victim 1. The barbed wire maze. The first victim is a man trapped in a tiny maze full of barbed wire. If he doesn't get out in time, he'll be left to die. His strategy? Dive straight into the wire, and the result... I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but here are some better tips for you. Tip 1. Crawl on your stomach. The floor has no wires, so it's safer. Tip 2. The barbed wire looks loose. Use your underwear or shirt to carefully push it aside. Tip 3. Ori, do nothing. If you have friends or family who care, they might end up finding you. Sadly, this guy didn't. Victim 2. The glass and candle room. The second victim is Mark, trapped in a room with broken glass all over the floor. He's been poisoned and has to use a candle to find the code to a safe that holds the antidote. The code is one of the many numbers on the wall. But it gets worse, we find out he's covered in flammable gel. So his only goal is find the code without setting himself on fire. And yes, he's been poisoned, but if the kidnapper actually expected him to search through thousands of numbers scribbled all over the wall, then there was definitely enough time to use a strategy. So to survive, he should have. Tip 1. Keep the candle far from your body. Watching the movie, we can see the numbers are pretty big. He doesn't need to press his face against the wall. Tip 2. Walk slowly. Instead of stepping on the glass, try pushing it aside. Create a small path where you can stand without cutting your feet. Tip 3. Slowly rotate the safe's dial while listening for the pins to click into place. Okay, I'll admit, even I don't know if I could do that, but if your life's on the line and you You'd give it a shot, right? This challenge is brutal, especially considering the reason he was chosen was that he skipped work pretending to be sick. Lesson learned. Victim 3. The reverse bear trap. Amanda wakes up strapped to a chair with a metal device on her head. She starts panicking, and as she struggles, Billy the puppet appears on the TV and explains what's really going on. He says the device will open and tear her jaw apart unless she gets the key from another man's stomach. So she gets up, and at that moment, a timer is triggered. She rushes to the guy, but he's not just any man. He's someone she knew, and the worst part, he's alive. But he can't move because he's been drugged. Still, that doesn't stop Amanda from fighting for her life. She cuts the guy open, gets the key, and survives. Later, during police interrogation, she tells them the experience helped her overcome her drug addiction. But how could you survive like this warrior without cutting anyone? Tip 1. Stay calm. The timer is activated when you stand up. Tip 2. Stay in the chair and carefully disarm the trigger, buying yourself time. Tip 3. Let the trap destroy itself. Wedge it between metal bars or pipes so it can't open fully. But there's another interesting detail in Gordon's flashback. In every scene, the police find a jigsaw puzzle piece on each victim and give the killer the nickname Jigsaw. They also find holes in the walls of the crime scenes, suggesting the killer always watches everything. Going back in time, we see Dr. Gordon at the hospital where he works, giving a clinical explanation to a group of interns. He talks about a patient with an inoperable brain tumor in a very technical and cold way. During the conversation, one of the hospital staff, Nurse Zepp Hindle, interrupts and criticizes Gordon, saying he could show more humanity when talking about the patient.
John.
This brief exchange shows that Zepp actually cares about the patient. It also reveals tension between the two and hints that there's more going on behind the scenes at that hospital than it seems. Shortly after, Gordon is taken to the police station because his pen was found at one of Jigsaw's crime scenes. Even though he has an alibi, detectives Tapp and Singh force him to hear Amanda's testimony, the only survivor. She says Jigsaw taught her to value life, even if it traumatized her. But the police never considered that the pen could have been planted, or left there on purpose. And now Tapp becomes obsessed with putting Gordon behind bars. Back to the bathroom. Adam finds photos proving Gordon was having an affair, but instead of showing them, he hides them. Nice move, bro. Then he starts getting suspicious of Gordon, thinking he might be Jigsaw. After all, he knows too much. In a fit of rage, he grabbed a shard from the mirror and threatened to kill Gordon if he didn't tell him what was going on around them. But then he stopped when he realized the shard came from a one-way mirror. Adam threw broken tiles at the mirror, completely shattering the glass. And by doing that, he found a camera hidden behind it. He tried to destroy it in a rage. But hey, if you're the one who gets kidnapped, don't do that. It'd be smarter to keep the camera as evidence. Even after all that, Gordon stayed calm and explained that the night before, he had promised to read a story to his daughter, but instead, he went to see his lover, leaving his wife and kid alone. That was probably when they got kidnapped. In this emotional moment, Gordon tosses his wallet to Adam and says there are pictures of his family inside. Adam ends up finding a folded photo and sees Gordon's wife and daughter tied up. On the back of the picture, there's a message. To see the X, close your eyes. Adam hides the info. Meanwhile, we see that Zepp is holding Gordon's family hostage, not realizing that Tapp is watching everything from the apartment next door, totally obsessed with the case. Let's just all agree, Tapp should have called the cops, but no. He keeps watching like that's gonna magically fix everything. Then we get a flashback. Tapp and Singh are analyzing Amanda's tape and notice a gang tag and a fire alarm. Back in the past, Tapp and Singh are analyzing Amanda's tape and find a clue, a gang symbol and a fire alarm. With that, they track 2 incidents in the area and find Jigsaw's hideout, an old abandoned mannequin factory. They break in without any backup. Inside, they find dolls, game setups, and a man strapped to a drill trap. Instead of setting up an ambush, Tapp decides to just wait and watch for the killer. Jigsaw shows up with his hood on, talks to the guy, and activates one of his traps. Now the cops are stuck. Either go after Jigsaw or save the guy. So Singh runs to help and finds a giant ring of keys. Basically the worst case scenario because 2 drills are about to kill the guy. Tapp has Jigsaw in his sights, but in a split second, the suspect fights back and slashes Tapp's throat before running off. Singh manages to save the victim, and even worried about his partner, goes after the killer. After a wild chase, he shoots Jigsaw at the end of a hallway. He walks up to the body, didn't expect there'd be a trap on the way. Years go by and we find out Tapp survived, but now he's just a former cop obsessed with revenge. The way these two handled the situation is just wild. No plan, no backup, no stealth. When they saw all the game props, they should have waited, hidden, and used a stun gun. But nope, they went full Dumb and Dumber, messing everything up. Back to the prisoners. Gordon starts freaking out as time runs out. Adam finally gets the clue and tells him to turn off the lights. They find a glowing X on the wall. Behind it, there's a box with a phone, a lighter, 2 cigarettes, and a note. The note says the cigarette isn't poisoned, but it could be used as a weapon if dipped in the poisoned blood from the dead guy in the middle of the room. Gordon tries to use the phone, but it only receives calls. Dr. Gordon starts remembering how he got kidnapped. He was in a parking garage when he noticed camera flashes. Then he was attacked and sedated by someone in a pig mask. Back in the bathroom, he pressures Adam to tell him what he knows. That's when Adam reveals the hidden photo showing Gordon's wife and daughter tied up and clearly in danger. Now Gordon totally loses it, realizing his family's part of the game. Up until now, he was super calm. Even Adam pointed that out, but now it really hits him. Remember those cigarettes Gordon got? He gives one to Adam, who smokes it like it's the best cigarette he's ever had. But then something weird happens. Adam starts convulsing like a fish out of water and drops to the floor. Game over. He's dead, except no. Suddenly, Adam gets shocked through the chain, and it's revealed the whole thing was a really bad act. The plan was out. Trying to buy time and trick the kidnapper, Gordon had secretly dipped one of the cigarettes in the dead guy's poisoned blood, just like Jigsaw hinted. Then he turned off the lights and told Adam the plan: fake his death. When the lights came back on, he tossed Adam the clean cigarette and the lighter and told him to act like he was dying while smoking it. Dr. Gordon thought he could end the game without violence, but putting all that faith in a terrible performance? Yeah, bad idea. At that point, Adam remembers how he got kidnapped. He had been hired by ex-detective Tapp to follow Gordon and take pictures of his daily routine. When he got home to develop the photos, he was attacked by the same masked guy who captured Gordon and woke up chained in the bathroom. Then Gordon gets a call from his daughter, hears his wife's voice, and when Zepp says Adam's name, Gordon realizes Adam knows more than he's letting on. Under pressure, Adam confesses he was paid by Tapp to spy on him and shows Gordon the photos hidden with the hacksaw bag. Gordon recognizes Tapp, the ex-cop obsessed with the case, as the one who's been watching him. That moment makes it clear this whole game was meant to turn them against each other. The kidnapper wanted to stir up hate, distrust, and push them past their limits. The phone they found only received calls, and while the movie never shows this, Gordon never even tries to send a text for help. After all the drama, Adam finds a photo of Zepp. Gordon jumps to the conclusion that he's the one behind the kidnappings. Meanwhile, Gordon's wife Allison breaks free and fights Zepp, right before Tapp breaks into the house. He chases Zepp but gets shot and killed. Gordon thinks his wife and daughter were murdered, and that's when he totally snaps. In one of the most unforgettable scenes in horror history, he saws off his own foot with that rusty saw from the room. Seriously, that scene chills you to the bone. With one foot gone, Gordon grabs the gun from the floor, just one bullet, and shoots Adam. The goal was to follow the rules of the game, but he finds a loophole. Instead of killing Adam, he shoots him in the shoulder. Barely holding on from all the blood loss, Gordon crawls out of the bathroom, telling Adam he's going to get help and will come back. Zepp then walks into the bathroom, but Adam, who's still alive, attacks him and kills him with the toilet lid. He searches Zepp's body and finds a tape recorder in his pocket, and that's when he hears the truth. Zepp was just another player in the game. He had been poisoned and was only following orders to get the antidote. And then, plot twist of the century, the dead body in the middle of the room gets up. It's John Kramer, the brain tumor patient Gordon mentioned earlier. He's the mastermind behind everything, the creator of the games, the real Jigsaw. He gives one last speech, walks out, and slams the door shut, leaving Adam trapped in the dark.
Grateful to be alive.
Game over. Bro, that plot twist at the end is insane. I still remember yelling the first time I saw it. And the movie soundtrack? Iconic. If you liked the video, smash that like button, drop a comment telling us the dumbest decision anyone made in this movie, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.